All right, guys, in today's video, we are talking once again about Cyberpunk 2077. I was not planning on making any more videos about this game, at least not anytime soon, but there is an interesting update that I do think is relevant to PlayStation fans because they talk about the next-gen version of Cyberpunk, and they let us know when exactly we can expect this. But I do also want to focus on this apology video that CD Projekt Red put out. I believe it was the co-founder who was talking directly to the fans, and I frankly think this is not good. I don't know how else to put it. I think this is unnecessary, and I think that ultimately it's very easy to say you're sorry once the damage has already been done, and it's extremely difficult to actually show you're sorry. And that's why I'm just not a fan of what CD Projekt Red is doing here. But to just let you know about the next-gen versions of the game, they're basically saying that the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X versions will be coming, but they're going to be coming in the second half of 2021. Right now, they're obviously focused on fixing the game. And what blows my mind about this situation, specifically with this apology video, is there are more people than I would have expected to see actually defending CD Projekt Red, actually coming out here and thanking them for this apology and making it seem as though everything is just okay and it's fine, and that we shouldn't hold any type of resentment or anything to them thanks to this apology video. And I think this is frankly just kind of pathetic, if I'm being brutally honest. And the reason why I say that is because if you listen to what this individual is saying, the co-founder, it's very obvious that they are aware of just how badly they messed up. But the one part in the video that just completely blows my mind is when he talks about the last gen versions of the game and the lead up to it. He's trying to explain how a situation like this was able to unfold, because the idea that we want to believe that individuals such as the co-founder here and the other higher ups there, which I will admit he is taking the blame and he's saying that him as well as his, higher ups there, they are the ones to blame, which I'm glad to hear that. But it's like, we already knew that, but we want to know, why did you make this decision? Why did you just say, let's release this game, even though it's completely broken and unfinished and frankly unplayable on the last gen, version or last gen consoles? And he was explaining that to the lead up of this with the PS4 and Xbox One versions, they didn't encounter any of these problems, or at least not nearly as many of these problems that everybody immediately picked up on the second they started playing this game on their PS4s and Xbox Ones. And to me, this is where I just started shaking my head at this so-called apology. Like, how are you going to say something like that and expect people to believe it? You're going to expect people to believe that after all this time, right, you guys were just completely unaware that this title was completely broken and unplayable on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. You expect people to believe that, but more so, you expect people to just accept that as an answer, as a response. See, this is why I think CD Projekt Red would have been better off not saying anything. Do exactly what Hello Games did. Go dark and don't come back until you have something to show for yourself. And look at how it worked out for Hello Games and No Man's Sky. People have a completely different perspective on that studio as well as that game. Do you want to know why? Because they weren't focused on saying they were sorry. They weren't focused on immediately trying to mend things and make excuses for why this happened the way it did. No, they didn't do that. They put their heads down, they realized that they messed up, and they started focusing on, how can we fix this? And then, I forget exactly how long it was. I think it was like a year later or something like that. They came out with some massive updates for No Man's Sky and completely turned the game around. They showed people what they needed to show them. They didn't waste people's time with empty apologies and saying, well, this is whose fault it is, or it's my fault. It doesn't matter. None of that matters right now. This entire situation is done, in my opinion, right? And I put out this tweet, and I think people were not fully understanding what I was trying to convey in this tweet, where I said that it seems CD Projekt Red's apology video didn't work on Sony because Sony still isn't putting this game in their storefront. And I was just saying that I think this is a good thing. I think we need to pay attention to this and realize that just saying you're sorry doesn't undo the damage and it doesn't fix the problem. You see what I'm saying? It's nice. It's like, okay, thanks, I guess, but the situation is still the same. And people took that, I think, the wrong way. They were assuming that I looked at this video as an apology towards Sony or as CD Projekt Red's way of trying to convince Sony to put the game back on the store. No, I'm well aware that's not what this video was at all. Yes, this was a video that was talking directly to the consumer, to the fans, but I just think that the time for talk is not now. I think the time for talk is over. I think it's been over for a little while now, and the time for actually doing something and taking action. And again, showing you're actually sorry, showing that you want to fix this, I think is more important. And there's people who are like, oh, well, this is really important because, you know, timelines and roadmaps. What this video tells me is that CD Projekt Red has learned absolutely nothing. The reason why I say that is because think about what put them in this position in the first place. Timelines. Giving a timeline is what put them in this predicament, where they kept giving a date or giving a release window and kept saying, well, this is when we expect it to be done. Oh, wait, but we have to delay it. And then everybody would get mad. And then we say, well, this is when it's going to be done. Wait, it's actually not done. We have a lot more work to do. And we actually have to crunch now, even though we said we weren't going to, so on and so forth, to the point where there was so much pressure, and they put this pressure on themselves completely unnecessarily, to the point where the higher ups there, the individual who is apologizing in this video, felt the need to release a broken, unfinished product. And none of that would have happened if they didn't keep making promises or timelines. If they didn't come out here and say, well, this is when we think it'll be ready. Wait, it's got to be delayed. This is when we think it'll be ready. They're doing the same thing here. They're trying to provide yet another timeline. So that way, when they can't deliver on the patches the day that they expected them to be ready, people are going to get even more upset and they're going to look even worse. So when they can't deliver the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X versions of these titles in the second half of 2021, and it actually has to be pushed back to 2022, then they can continue to make themselves look even worse and continue to dig this hole even deeper. Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you understand why this apology video in and of itself is just a complete joke and frankly does nothing but set them up for further failure? This is what I think people are not understanding. They're not understanding that this video is proof that CD Projekt Red has learned nothing. If they learned something, they would not be speaking right now. They would be completely silent and only speak when they have something to go, ready to go. That's the only time they should speak at this point. Hey, we're going to ring the bell. We're going to tell you why you want to show up because we have something for you. The only thing they're giving you right now are more promises and apologies that no one really cares about at this point. And you know what? If you're somebody where this is good enough for you, you know, you were sold a broken, unfinished product and promises were just, you know, unfulfilled and all this stuff, and you're totally okay with that, and it's like, hey, that's fine. Thank you for the apology. I'm enjoying the game anyway. Then good for you. But you're failing to see the bigger picture here, and you're completely failing to understand why they're in the situation they're in. And a lot of people, I want to end this video by saying this as well. A lot of people are coming to me and they're saying, dude, I think you're being too harsh on CD Projekt Red here. What about all these other games in the past? What about all these other studios? Okay, can we not act as if the internet didn't become furious with all of these other broken titles like The Avengers and Fallout 76 and Anthem? Can we not pretend that these developers and these publishers were not screamed at constantly and just bashed over and over again, deservedly so? Because that's how people are acting. They're acting like what's happening with Cyberpunk isn't the exact same thing that happened with all of these other titles. And people then start to wonder, well, why does it seem so much worse for Cyberpunk? And I will tell you why it's so much worse for Cyberpunk. The reason why it's so much worse is because this is the straw that broke the camel's back. The expectations that gamers, that people in general have had for CD Projekt Red are way different than the expectations they have had for publishers such as Bethesda and EA and even Square Enix, right? Completely different situation. And so this time, even though it's maybe a similar situation, although I'd argue it's actually worse, it's just amplified because of that. Because people really genuinely believed in CD Projekt Red. I mean, they really believed, man. You know, much more so than they would ever believe in EA or Bethesda. That's what I think people are failing to understand. That's why people are so much more upset this time around, because this was the one game where this was not supposed to happen, and it should have never happened. And so, you know, that's, in my opinion, why we are seeing what we're seeing. And I don't care what anybody says. You can tell me all you want about how this apology video was a good thing and a necessary thing. I'm going to tell you, why did they do this? I'm going to ask you, why would they do this? Why would they need to apologize? Is that apology going to suddenly fix the game? Is that apology suddenly going to fix every problem that has occurred with this title since the time it launched? No, it's not. If that apology is going to give you a little bit of solace, then that's great. I guess they did their job in that case. But I'm also going to tell you that this just proves they haven't learned a thing, and they're just continuing to set themselves up for failure. Because if you think there aren't going to be any issues with this in the future, where they're not going to be able to deliver a patch exactly when they promised they would, or they're not going to be able to deliver an update when they said they would, well, then you are also setting yourself up for more disappointment, in my opinion, because that's going to happen. All right. They should have taken the Hello Games approach. They should have went dark. They should have just put their nose to the grindstone and only come back when they have something to show for themselves. And, you know, if that means that they go silent for 2 months, but when they come out, they have a massive patch that just dramatically fixes and changes the game, then that's what they should have done. The time for talk is over when it comes to CD Projekt Red. The time for actually taking action and showing progress and showing that you're sorry is what's necessary. And in my opinion, that does not come in the form of a 5-minute apology / roadmap video. It just doesn't. So that does it for the video, guys. Leave me your thoughts down in the comments below. Leave it a like if you enjoyed it or agree with it. Subscribe if you're new. Hit the bell notification icon and feel free to share the video out. Take care.